Maybe not. Good evening, model railroaders, and welcome back to the Second Section podcast, where it's just regular folks talking about model railroading. My
Where the hell
camera
are you?
died apparently in the middle of the intro. This is great. I love it.
God.
I can't believe that happened. Let me just do the old switcheroo here.
What's
It'll
it been?
be
10
fine.
seconds? 10 seconds.
In 10 seconds, and we've just shit the bed already. This is fantastic, folks.
Well, we can hear you.
Yeah. Well, we might have to go to the old integrated webcam here. So stand by, folks.
How does this happen every day or every time?
It says my web browser has decided to lose my deal. So I just don't get it. It said my web browser has lost the ability to connect to my camera. But we will press on nonetheless here. You guys don't want to see my face anyway.
Nope.
No, we don't. So we want to see trains, not my dumb old face, but we do want to talk to Mike.
Can
Mike,
you see us?
Yeah, I can see you just fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just I'm not here. I have the face, as the Illinois Midland says, I have the face for radio.
Oh, jeez.
So
Well, we saw you just fine before the intro.
yep. We're gonna do that for Tom here just a second. He's got a little feedback coming in. So welcome everybody to the Second Section podcast. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm tired. I'm very
tired?
tired. Yeah, I've been outside all day long, so I'm kind of tired about, and a lot of fresh air. So
A lot of fresh air.
yeah.
Don't be fooled. He wasn't outside working.
No. Well, it's a little harder. What I was doing is a little harder work than what you think. I mean, but I was smoking
The
20
Chiba?
pounds of pork, 20 pounds of pork shoulder to make pulled pork. So that's, you got to monitor it. I don't have one of those fancy dancy plug in and set it and forget it things. I actually have to tend my fire. So, I mean, you do have to put a little work into it. Hey, there's Andy. There's Andy again.
Yeah. We got it figured out.
All right. So I'm a little tired, but it turned out great. And, that's it. It's been an eventful week. That's for sure.
That sounds like it. We got some usual suspects here tonight, and we got some new faces here in the audience, or in the studio, I should say. So we have Chris Palmieri here from HomeShops for, I think, Second Section record 10th show now.
Is he leading going into the clubhouse here?
I think
what?
so. I think it's at least 7 to 10 shows he's been on.
Wow.
And
just make sure you sign your scorecard so it stays legal.
Yeah. Why did my screen crack when Andy came back on? Well, I'm sorry. We can shut it back down. But yeah, welcome back, Chris. How are you?
I'm great, and man, thanks for letting us do another show. We've got some cool content to share with everybody, so I'm pretty excited about the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then joining us this evening, we have, let me see if the audio is good here for Tom. Let's see, Tom from Southeast Hobbies. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Andy?
Hey, good. That sounds much, much better on your end. Glad to have you here tonight with us. Were you at Train Fest?
I was.
In Milwaukee? Oh, how would that go for you?
Train Fest was phenomenal. That was the
Good.
second Train Fest we did, and it was probably one of the best attended shows, other than Amherst, that I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And what we'll do is we're gonna kick it over to Matt here real quick. We have Matt Gentry on the show with us, and he's got his own home road that he's going to be discussing with us this evening. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, I'm good. So what are you going to be talking about tonight on the show?
Well, I'm going to be talking about the modern Yankeetown Dock Corporation. This is a concept that I've sort of been kicking around and thinking about, for about the last 10 to 12 years, and my time in the model railroad industry and meeting all these folks, and after especially meeting Chris Palmieri, sort of gave me a kick in the drawers to get it done. So here we are.
Well, that's awesome. So Tom, Matt, welcome. This is a free forum tonight, so you got something to say. Pipe up and jump right into the fray. I will draw everyone's attention tonight. We got a ticker running at the bottom of the screen here for HomeShops. So there's a bunch of offers that are going on right now that are rolling through. So check out the homeshops.net website to make sure that you get in while the getting's good here, because some of these deals are on limited stock items and you don't want to miss out. That's for sure. Chris, when you're here on the second section, Mike and I kind of get the night off. And usually that means we also get to do a little shopping in the background because our wallets are going to get light. And that's good because, it's fun to spend money on trains.
Well,
What's the agenda for this evening?
So the agenda for this evening, we'll start with the announcements that we made at the Freelance Forum, the event in Greeley. We made a number of announcements. There's a reason for it. And then, of course, I wanted to introduce everyone to Tom with Southeast Hobbies. The reason being, we get asked to do a lot of shows, and we just don't have the bandwidth, especially with full-time jobs, to do it. So by proxy, Tom has become our extension into a lot of different shows, and he's been very, very busy and hasn't really had a chance to meet folks. So I wanted to introduce him and get some of his perspective on what's going on. And then, of course, there's two roads. You didn't mention, Andy, that you're a guest of honor today as well, because we want to introduce everybody to the Yankeetown Dock, the modern Yankeetown Dock Corporation, and Gentry's gonna do that. And I think it's time to hit the Mascooten Valley at a slightly higher level than what we've mentioned before. So we'll have you close it out with that, because it all ties into some of the announcements that we made.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good, Chris. I look forward to getting grilled here as opposed to the one doing the grilling. So
am I allowed to ask questions to you, Andy?
Yes, of course, Mike. It's only fair. Only fair.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead then, Chris? Why don't we kick off our section here? It looks like you got something queued up already. Let's bring that up. What do we got cooking now?
Well, we made 7 announcements at the Freelance Forum, and there have been a lot of questions. Why would you bunch this kind of stuff together this quickly? And we didn't really do it that way. When you're working with a number of different manufacturers, sometimes things just bunch. Tom, I think you might want to mute while you're off. I hear something in the background there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom. So the oldest order that we placed was 3 years ago, the Atlas bulkhead flats. We'll get to that shortly. This Rapido C36 is about a year-old order, and the scale trains SD38s, I think we placed that 4 or 5 months ago, and they are all coming in a very short amount of time. So I thought we probably better, since it's I'm just a modeler like the rest of you guys. trying to get some really cool stuff out there. So I figured we probably better better start the cash flow now since they're a bunch. So I really appreciate y'all doing this, and everybody that's been buying and supporting our stuff. It's greatly appreciated. So the first item that we announced is the C36-7. This is our second locomotive. We did a V&O C30 with Rapido, which is sold out. And it seemed like a no-brainer when the C36 came out to have a complement locomotive. We reached out to Tony Kester and put together this gorgeous Allegheny Midland C36-7.
Oh my gosh.
Now, they have actually arrived. I'm on the naughty list with Mrs. Palmieri because her car is not in the garage because there's a couple pallets down there, and this is one of them.
Wow.
And it's just a matter of time here, working the full-time job. I'm hoping to start shipping the stuff that showed up by Monday to all everybody who's placed a pre-order. So we did 3 road numbers of the C30 with the V&O. We only did 2 numbers of this locomotive, 66 each. And that's divided into sound and non-sound. So it's a limited run. I figured, folks who bought 2 or 3 of the V&O engines would probably want to grab 1 or 2 of these too, because they just go hand in hand. For this model, we chose the Norfolk Southern, the late Norfolk Southern version with this unique housing behind the cab. It just kind of has that Eastern feel to it. And Tony Kester agreed. So it's very similar in design to the V&O engine, but it follows Tony Kester's artwork. He had found some U36Cs that he had done in the 3620 series, and said, let's number these right on top of those in the 3630 series. So that's what we did. So that's our first announcement. They're still on the advanced purchase page, but they are in the garage here downstairs, and we'll start shipping them out to the folks who pre-ordered and the folks who pre-ordered tonight, early next week, if not sooner.
Okay.
The second locomotive we announced is a Scale Trains SD38-2. This order is one that I probably would not have placed ordinarily, but we got a great deal on a minimum order quantity. So each locomotive, there's only 30 made of each road number. And of those, there's 12 non-sound and 18 sound. So the purpose of this was to get something out there to test the non-V&Os of the world, to see what the freelance market does if it responds. So for this, we selected Andy's Mascooten Valley. We did a Farland Terminal box tar for Mike, and it sold out 200 of them in basically 2 weeks. Yeah. And what you guys do and the platform you use to promote your brands made it worth the risk to do one. And what a beautiful engine it is. The Scale Trains did a CNW version, which had a lot of the features that just lent themselves to an Ohio Southern engine, like the bell in the nose, on the engineer side, etc. So we had to do that. Again, only 30 of 2 numbers. Tim Garland, Seaboard Central. I mean, he's got an incredible following, a gorgeous paint scheme, and those things will be on his YouTube videos. And I thought, maybe if this gamble is a mistake, when it all ends, I want to make sure I've got a Texas and Great Northern engine. So selfishly, I did that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm quite pleased with how it's going. So I did get samples, and I'll just go through these pretty quick. This is the Texas and Great Northern sample. It's got the 6 brake cylinders per side, and just a gorgeous model. Very detailed paint scheme, and they nailed it. The Ohio Southern, it photographed a little bit brighter than it is. It's DT and I orange match on that.
That's Jim Hediger's railroad, right?
Correct. That's the late Jim Hediger's Ohio Southern. So it's featured for
cool
several decades.
Locomotive.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous locomotive. Non-dynamic.
Oh, cool.
Most of his locomotive roster follows DT&I's footprint, and the DT&I SD38-2s do not have dynamic brakes. That one, I don't know if anybody's heard or seen anything about that, but Andy, I didn't send you any of the videos of them cranked up, but these are fun models. So we are doing 2 road numbers of the Mascooten Valley, and we'll dwell on that a little bit more in your segment. And then, of course, there's Tim Garland's Seaboard Central. So those are the 4 road names of the ST38-2s. And again, of each road number, just 12 non-sound and 18 sound. So we couldn't ask for much more of a safe quantity to test some locomotives with.
They all look amazing, Chris. I gotta say, like,
Thank you. I'm gonna just flip through them real quick while you're talking.
Yeah, I mean the Texas Great Northern. The thing that I love about this scheme, it's the complement of the silver with the green. I don't know, it just that something about it. Just that's what does it for me, and I just absolutely love it.
Those Georgia Pacific railroads nailed it with that paint scheme.
Yeah,
Chris. I mean, honestly, the Fortis and Princeton, Ashley Drew Northern, they just, that is such an iconic paint scheme, and I think it's really cool that you chose that. And I know there's a history of it with it, there's a reason for it and everything, but it's just, it lends itself to modeling really, really nice. It looks so
really
nice.
does. Every time I see it, it puts a smile on my face.
And Ohio Southern, and you got yours had the shorty gas fuel tank on it too, right?
It wasn't a short one. It was shorter than the Ohio Southern one.
Yeah.
For the Texas and Great Northern unit and for the Seaboard Central unit, we mimicked a late version of the Burlington Northern engine that Scale Trains has done. So we matched the fuel tank and all the details that were on that engine. I was looking for the clean roof line and the horns in the back to make it a little bit more modern, and just a beautiful engine.
That would have been the original Frisco units then, right?
Correct. Yeah. And then of course this one mimics the CNW model. Andy, you chose the model for this one. They did a reserve mining GATX version with the light in the nose and a few other features that just looked right. It's got the angled paper air filter and a few other things, so it's just a little bit different. It's got the window on the conductor side as well, so it's just a good looking engine.
I ordered mine in Colorado, Andy. I did, didn't I, Chris? I ordered it. I was standing right in front of him when I said, "Hey, how's this going to work with this?" He goes, "Well, blah, blah, blah." He told me how it works. So I'm like, all right, boom, 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 done.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Along with a bunch of other stuff that I shouldn't have been looking at that point.
And if it runs as good as any of the other Scale Trains, locomotives that I have, it's going to be great.
Yeah. We played with them a little bit, and they run really nice. And of course, this I don't think needs a whole lot of introduction, but
Tim's stuff is always
that is so cool.
Yeah. So the second locomotive, the third locomotive announcement we made is Prairie Shadow's GP20 C Eco.
God, I want one of these so bad.
Yeah, you want 3 or 4 of them, but
just don't fit my era. Oh my gosh.
This is such a unique opportunity, and I said, well, Scale Trains made us this offer on this low quantity. This is kind of a gamble. It's a unique locomotive, and again, we're testing some freelance roads on a locomotive. Can you match it? And they said, yeah, absolutely. So same deal with these, 12 only of the non-sound versions of each number and 18 of the sound versions. And Kansas Pacific, Michigan Interstate, Seaboard Central, and Tennessee Southern are the 4 roads we chose to try out on this. I'm going to share with you some samples of the shells that we just got from Prairie Shadows.
My God, that jeez Louise. Get out of here.
That's pretty.
Weren't there some fists thrown between you and Mr. McComas there, Mike, up at Denver on this thing?
Yeah. Oh man, I tell you what,
it's for their first offering, for their first locomotive, they're working with, it'll be their announcement to make, but it's an established manufacturer, so it's not like Prairie Shadows is doing this from the ground up, and so the detail on these things is phenomenal. And this is a revised version. These 4 photographs I'm going to show. So the factory was really great to work with to iron a few things out, and we're just stoked about the way these look. And of course we're familiar with Greg's Michigan Interstate. We'll do that in 2 numbers. Alan Whitaker's Tennessee Southern.
This one caught my eye. I like this one a lot.
It's a sharp locomotive. He's been for a while doing Facebook and YouTube promotion of his railroad, so that brand is developed, and just a stunning locomotive, I think. And it's got a nod. He's a Southern fan, so the stripes on the walkway here are kind of inspired by Southern, and you can see all of his interests reflected in this locomotive.
Is that kind of like a pseudo BNSF styling on the striping? Like kind of a ish kind of thing?
I'll go with ish. I don't think BNSF has a white separation between the black and the orange.
No, but I'm saying just the styling of how it's...
Maybe more closer to Great Northern, maybe.
Yeah, I'll buy Great Northern. That's I'll get that. I see that vibe. Yeah.
I like the Southern, the old Southern tuxedo paint scheme on the steps there on the walkway. How they did that safety stripes.
He does one version that he calls tuxedo. I think he calls this one the Rocky Top scheme, doesn't he, Chris?
I think you're right. I think he does.
Yeah. And I just love this Rocky Top that he does. He just completed a bunch of standard cab -9s, and they're just beautiful locomotives.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. Those were I've been drooling over his page.
Yeah.
Tom, we'll get to you here, your section here, but Tom, I know you're seeing these for the first time. You're probably having visions of these things flying off the shelves at shows.
For sure. Yeah, they're all gorgeous. I can't wait for these to come in.
We're all excited for these to come in. Kansas Pacific. So Anthony Lorch was his Kansas Pacific is one of the very first roads we did. We did a Tangent 4750 with his Longhorn logo, which it's actually on the nose of this locomotive. And I think that was the second car we had that sold out. So Anthony kind of got out of the hobby for a little bit, and he's gotten back into it. But this was one of the roads that when I first got into Facebook and looking at this stuff in like 2015, all the stuff he posted, it was a scroll stopper for me. And I just really, really liked what he did. And we thought, man, those hoppers sold out, in very short order. I've just got to sell 12 of these and 18 of them. And let's get some Kansas Pacific power out there to start generating media. It's just a gorgeous deep green. And it's got his Longhorn route slogan on it. And, with the freelance world, these rebuilt locomotives, I think each one of our road owners decided to call them something slightly different because it's their own rebuild. So this one's stenciled BL20T on the cab because it's, his rebuild in his world. And the last version is the Seaboard Central. Again, Tim Garland has got an evolution in his paint scheme and his railroad, and his current scheme is a much darker blue with kind of Florida East Coast inspired lettering on the side.
No way.
And he's done a few GP40 wide cabs in that scheme, and I think he's got a couple of other engines. So this isn't an error. It's intentionally a different scheme than the SD38-2, which is a lighter blue and represents an earlier scheme. And of course, he's got both schemes running simultaneously on his railroad right now. And
oh, wow.
We came up with that eco logo just to make it kind of stand out and cool. So those are the sneak peeks at the GP20 ecos. I thought, we don't have the completed models yet, but I'd like to show y'all the where they are at in production, and these are well beyond the design phase.
Chris, do they all have the split horn?
They do.
Okay.
They do. And that's a feature of, there's only one prototype. The Canadian Pacific has these.
Right. Yeah.
So we had to match their designs.
These are such out in the wild. These are so cool to see out running.
Yeah.
They are so fun to chase. We get them in Wisconsin. We've got them all over the place out here. So I mean, it's really, really cool.
with the Canadian Pacific, right, Mike?
Yeah, on CPKC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think any of them have gotten painted yet, so they're all still running around in CP paint. So but they're fun to be around.
I like Robert's thoughts there.
Yeah, I agree with Robert. That's a good looking locomotive.
So that rounds out. Oh, go ahead,
Mike. You know what? I think you say, well, I don't think I can have that. It's too far into the future for me.
I know.
I mean, what if, man? What if?
No, get that one off. No.
Look at that Michigan interstate.
I am not
Tennessee
going to buy
Southern.
anything from the Blue Borg. Okay, I'm not
or that
doing
Kansas Pacific. Look at that, and just think to yourself, man. Let's fast forward and do an op session 5 years into the future from what you're modeling, or 10 years, or 20. Then what?
I like that idea.
Yeah. Don't limit yourself. That's the one thing us modelers do to ourselves. We limit ourselves. Why would you do that? God.
Mike, he makes a good point.
God. Don't limit yourself.
And what's neat about this engine is a lot of folks have smaller switching layouts, and I've seen a lot of comments and people have messaged me because we've talked about doing larger engines, and it seemed like there was an appetite for a small locomotive for those smaller spaces. And when this came along, it fits that bill nicely.
And in all seriousness and reality, in the real life world, this is the next iteration of a 4-axle locomotive that's been built since the GP60. So I mean, because all the railroads went big, they went 6-axle high horsepower, and this is just an example of what can be done in the 4-axle world nowadays with the and it's just I might have to do something.
We should take a step back here for folks who aren't familiar with this locomotive. What this is, it's basically a GP9 that CP sent to Progress Rail, or one of their shops, and had them rebuilt basically from the ground up. And the Seaboard Central storyline, as we were working through this with Tim Garland, he started his Seaboard Central with a couple of GP9s. And as he's evolved into later times, it would make sense that I think in his storyline, the state of Georgia financed or subsidized rebuilding them to a lower emissions locomotive, and they send them off to the CP shops, and now they've got more life out of those original locomotives.
Are they 2,200 horsepower? Or 2,000? What are they for horsepower in real life? Do you know?
I believe 2,200. Matt, are you familiar with those?
I can tell you here real quick. I got to see the numbers on the side of the cab.
I'll flip through it one more time while we're doing that. Just to. I love that strikes so much emotion in Mike. It's a gorgeous engine, and everybody's a fan of it.
Whatever.
So Tom Johnson's got a question. What time frame did these come out?
Let me go back to this slide here. There's on our sales sheet.
It's a 2019?
2013.
2013.
2013 is when they started with 30 units, and they got a number of additional units, bringing it up to 130 units. I'm not sure when the last one was delivered, but the program, it looks like, started in 2013.
Well, that's very cool.
So that rounds out our 3 locomotive announcements. This is also a pallet in the garage downstairs, and I've got it's difficult to get them out right away with the full-time job and everything else, but it is on the short list here. This project, I think we started this conversation 3 years ago at Amherst with Atlas, and the order's been placed for a while. This 51-foot 6-inch bulkhead car is True Line Trains tooling that Atlas bought. It's just a gorgeous little gem of a car. And with the four road names we had picked for these were Mike Conflone's Allagash. I think he was on your show, last week?
Yes.
Yep.
And so that one bears no introduction. We've got Joe Bohannon's Chinook lines. Now, Joe is one of the early roads that we did a 86-foot boxcar converted for paper service that has sold out. We did a Prairie Shadows Trenton Works covered hopper that we have just a few of left, maybe 5 or 6 of each road number left. And those are eligible on the sale if anybody's looking, and those will be sold out. And then this will be our third Chinook Lines car. And each one of these cars we did 3 numbers of, just 50 each. So they're very limited quantities. The Quebec and New England, this is our second Q&E car. That's Sheldon Frankel's railroad. He's got a YouTube channel with a substantial following. Just go to YouTube and search Quebec and New England if you're not familiar with it, and you'll see what's going on there. I think we're sold out of the Rapido boxcar that we did for him. And then our friend Jim Abbott of Highball Graphics, his freelance railroad is the Superior Transfer, and we did a boxcar with Rapido for him. So this is the second Superior Transfer car that we did. It's the prototypes had the different colored bulkheads for a number of the roads than the actual cars, and we kind of mimicked that on these to make them not just boring bulkheads. They've all got a little bit of character, and every one of them is a slightly different color. So that's those will be shipping very soon. Then we've got our Prairie Shadows PD 5000 in just 2 road names. The Carter's Little River Mills, we touched on it a little bit when we did our Delta Lines episode.
Right.
This is one of Frank Ellison's industries on the Delta Lines, and we decided to make a modern iteration of it. And with this car, the car type being more of a customer kind of car, not so much one that would lend itself to being on the rosters of the freelance railroads themselves, we thought about what else could we do, and we came up with a HomeShops leasing version, one that's subtly got the logo on it and HLSX reporting marks, but it's just a gorgeous car, and it's been selling quite nicely. Really, that was a gamble, and it's doing really, really well. So I'm excited about that. So the Carter's Little River Mills car and the HomeShops leasing car, the only 2 road names for this order. They are manufactured. I don't know if they have shipped yet, but we should have them by the end of the year, is my understanding, which will be here in no time. The finger rack flat with scale trains. We did this car in 5 gorgeous schemes. These cars here, they're very unique, so we only did 2 numbers of each road name, and there's just 48 of each of each road number. So also very limited quantity car. Not simple designs. The Copper State Railway has the metallic copper lettering, the metallic copper logo, and the metallic copper tips on the finger racks. We've got our Davies Steel theme going. We've offered Davies Steel coil cars, and we've got some other stuff that's in the Dean Freitag family. So this red matches the red on the coil cars and the yellow ends on the fingers there. We have had Jack Brown on 1 or 2 episodes, and we introduced the Cardinal system, and I think he showed a picture of a Kit Bash Cardinal system finger flat from way back in the day, so we had to do that. The V&O car, just kind of a no-brainer. All these railroads serve the steel industry, and we worked with the McClellans on this, and each of the raised areas, the risers on the car are yellow. So it's just a stunning car when you look at it from above. And then yellow and white on the racks. And then there's a reason we invited Mr. Gentry on board here today. This will be our first modern Yankeetown Dock car that kind of rounds out that collection. And that's a more modern offering with the conspicuity stripes. And as Matt talks about the timeline of that railroad, that'll all kind of become clear. And I think this is the last announcement, the Autoflood 3 coal car with Rapido.
That's right. We teased these on the last time you were on.
We did tease them. I don't think we teased all of the road names, but we did tease the V&O and the Cardinal system ones. So we did 4 road names. Cardinal system in 6 numbers, V&O in 6 numbers. We're doing a Yankeetown Dock Corporation car. And this public service company car is John Parker's utility on his Fall River Division layout, and he'll be updating his fleet for 2 coal trains when these show up. And we thought when we, just like with the PD 5000s, we looked for who's got a utility power plant on a freelance utility, and John had one, so we reached out and put this car together, and it's a stunning car. So that rounds out the announcements for products that we did at the Freelance Forum. They're all available now on the advanced purchase page. We'll be creating a recent arrivals page for the new stuff in, just to kind of separate that inventory from what's eligible for the sale right now as these things come in, as long as that's running. And we also announced our HomeShops hub, which is a section of the website. I don't know, Andy, do you want to share that?
Pop it up, the Freelance hub?
Yeah, I'll let you kind of navigate through that and share with the folks here what it's all about.
Yeah. So this is, I thought this is a really good addition to the HomeShops site. The Freelance hub basically is just a collection of all of the home roads that are out there that HomeShops and the crew were able to get information on. And you can see, you click on an item, and you can get to see who the owner is, where it's operated, about it. You get to see pictures, various items where it's in operation, and just to get a good background and history and how the railroad came about. And so you can essentially
absolutely
keep looking and find not only what your favorite home road is, but then when you click on the more information, it also brings up a library of what HomeShops offerings has been made for them. So I think that's really cool too. So if you wanted to pick on, let's say, the Benton and Southern, for example, and I'll stop sharing so I can, because I can only share one window at a time apparently. Because I'm
at least
really
we can see you.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with technology today, apparently. But then when you click on the Benton Southern in the Freelance hub, you can see, who's the owner, a little bit about it, pictures of the railroad, and then you get to see, okay, what's been previously offered. And then if there's any available, you can still shop right there. So I think this is a cool feature for the website, not only to be able to kind of filter down to, a specific road for shopping purposes, but I like the idea of getting to learn a little bit about them as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I figured our team talked about it for a while, and all of the stuff is very unique, and it's very scattered throughout the internet and old media. If folks want to learn about these railroads, so we decided it made sense to put it all on the website where folks can find it, and that section will continue to grow as we bring more railroads online. There's a few railroads on there that we haven't produced or announced a product for yet, but that probably means there's some announcement coming soon. So that's what that's all about. And I do need to give a lot of credit to my father and Matt Martin, who did about 99% of the heavy lifting for that content. Getting 60 road owners to be on board and get that content together was a lot of work. So very, very thankful to those two gentlemen for the help there that they provided.
No, it was a lot of fun to put together, and a lot of fun to walk through. It's fun to just reference it from time to time.
So I guess amongst here, there's 3 page owners here, right? There's a Mascooten Valley page, there's a Farland Terminal page, and there's a Modern Yankeetown Dock page.
Yep, that's for sure.
As well. So I join these things quite a bit and do a whole lot of talking, but I think we've got some other folks on board here, and Doug Watts is with us. Hi, Doug.
Hey, good evening.
Hi, Doug. I might do the honors and toss the mic to you and maybe kind of let you introduce Tom to the audience and talk about how you introduced us, and then let Tom take off there.
All right. Thanks, Chris, and thanks everybody. It's always good to be here. Andy and Mike, thank you very much for hosting us. And yeah, we had the opportunity, we being HomeShops, we had the opportunity to be introduced to Tom at the Amherst show back in January of 24. And a good buddy of mine who has accompanied me to the show for many years, he was out. He was out. Is that me?
No, I think that's
No.
Tom. I think there's some feedback in his room.
Yeah, I do have to apologize. I'm in a hotel lobby. I literally just got off the road right as this broadcast started, so I'll keep muting and unmuting my mic. So
It's just fine when you're talking.
Yeah, it's when you're not.
It is.
Okay, so a buddy of mine who's gone to the show with me for many years, he was out scouting around, and I was with Chris at our table. He came over. He said, "Hey, I was just over looking at the Southeast Hobbies. They have a really nice assortment of products for sale. They do custom weathering, etc." He said, "I think you guys should take a look and introduce yourselves." So we did. We went over. We talked with Tom. It was a great meeting. He ended up making an order that day. So Chris and I went back, packed up an order, and then made sure that we got that. We walked that order over to him at Amherst. That was the start of the relationship, just about 2 years ago. And the very interesting thing about all the members of our dealer network, and we're spotlighting Tom tonight, is that Tom is always very good on sharing information, and he talks with us about how he does product placement, and what's selling, what's not, and then he engages his customers in conversation to find out what's important to them, and that is part and parcel of what Andy and Mike do here with the Second Section podcast. It's about sharing information and making sure that gets out to other people. So we really appreciate Tom, and I'd like to turn this over to him. And again, Tom, thank you very much.
Wow, Doug, thank you for that introduction. That was fantastic. And hello, everyone. And yeah, that time that we met back at Amherst, that was the first big show that Southeast Hobbies did. And I went over and I looked at the product, and I have to say that I wasn't really that familiar with Freelance. Of course, everyone knows some of those roads, but other than what I read in a magazine, I looked at these various roads, these Freelance roads, and I was just absolutely stunned. And I thought, this stuff is special, it's unique, it's different, it's cool. And I mean, I didn't even hesitate. And I didn't even know anything about HomeShops until that Sunday afternoon at Amherst. I put in a pretty big order. And I do roughly 22 shows in 17 states every year. I'm actually up in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's a train show this weekend. Moose Valley puts it on. And I do spotlight HomeShops. Chris has a nice banner that he put together for me, along with a real nice display riser. And I have many of the items from HomeShops outside the box, and they're all laid out. And I think that just draws people in. The paint schemes, the roads, they're absolutely stunning. And yeah, there it is. That's from one of the shows that I did. And it's just the product placement, I think, helps, of course.
Sure.
To be able to see it, and people, most people ask, "Can I pick it up?" I said, "Sure, of course. That's what it's there for." And the tremendous response from model railroaders. It's just been gaining more and more traction. And in the beginning, a lot of people would say, "I've never heard of these railroads before," or "What's freelance?" And then I'd explain to them what it is. And now, this is just some recent shows from Train Fest. People just walk up to the table and purchase. Um, I, one person put in an order off of my website for 20 cars last week, home shop cars.
Whoa.
And, yeah. And so
not me.
Yeah. And just working with Chris and Doug and Matt and others, it's just a fantastic relationship. I really like being able to carry the product line. It's just been a wonderful relationship, and of course, I like selling products at these shows, and HomeShops is always one of the leaders at these different shows that I go to.
So I saw you at Train Fest last weekend. You didn't have much left.
Mm-mm.
That's right, Andy.
Like
I got cleaned out.
HomeShops. There was like 1 or 2 pieces left. That was it.
That's right. Yeah. I ran out of coil cars. I ran out of some of the road names in various types of rolling stock. Some of the hoppers are gone. I actually had someone. I had one Sioux Line box car left that was on the display table. I didn't have the boxes for those because I used one of those trays in the U-line.
The A-line trays?
Yeah, the A-line trays.
Yeah.
Anyways, the guy said, "Hey, do you have any more of these?" I said, "No, unfortunately. That's my last one." And he says, "Do you have a box?" I said, "No." He goes, "That's okay. I'll still take it." I mean, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of wanted that one for myself, but a shoemaker's son has no shoes."
Yeah.
So I sold it to him.
So what typically, like, what kind of questions do you get, like, for people that have no idea, like what this stuff is? Like, people come up and say, "What's HomeShops?" Like, what are their questions or their follow-ups? Like, what do you at a show?
It depends on the familiarity people have with railroads in general, and so some folks are just they're new and they're just trying to learn. That's what a lot of these people go to these shows for. Is it happens on every show. I have several people. "Hey, I'm just getting started. I don't even know what scale I'm interested in. Can you just spend a little time?" And fortunately now I've got enough people that are helping me at these different shows. I can spend some time with them and talk to them about what their interests are, get them into a scale that works for them, and most importantly, when they start talking about HomeShops, or your question, Andy, specifically, is I'll pick something up and I'll say, "This is a real railroad. This is Burlington Northern or Chessie System.
Yeah.
These actually ran or run currently on real railroads." And then these freelance roads are people that have model railroads at their homes typically, or on club layouts, and they have these their own paint scheme. They have their own railroad that they've named for themselves. Hence, it's freelance. You won't see it in the real world, but you'll definitely see it on layouts. And people, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
Yeah. So do you see certain types of cars sell better in certain locations? So like coil cars, auto racks, do they go good in Milwaukee versus, let's say, Tennessee? Like, do you have little hot spots here and there?
Oh, Andy, this is the bane of my existence. And what I mean by that is, I never know what to take. In fact, I just purchased a larger trailer. I had a 14-foot trailer. I just bought a 18-foot trailer, so I can bring more product. And it is somewhat of a guessing game. So I try to bring as much as I can.
Yep.
And sometimes my wife, who helps me at these shows, she'll say, you know what, these aren't selling. And then we'll go to another place, another part of the country, and they sell out. And I always tell her, every show is different. It's very hard to predict. I think what I have noticed, and I've only been in the business for 2.5, almost 3 years, but hoppers always sell. People love hoppers. That moves. Box cars, and then some of the other specialized equipment like the coil cars and these finger racks that are coming out, which I love. I think they're cool.
Right.
Those they sell, but not quite as well as what I would call like your standard fare of hoppers and box cars. But yes, it is definitely regional. In fact, my wife, when we were getting ready a week ago to go to Train Fest in Milwaukee, she goes, "We got to take everything that we have that's Milwaukee Road
and Chicago
and
Northwest.
Chicago." And she knows nothing about railroads. She knows nothing about model railroads, but she's getting attuned at least to what we should be taking to these places. And I did an N-scale show in Overland Park, Kansas, and I sold a lot of Canadian Pacific. So, of course, with CPKC now, that I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So are you noticing like demographic wise, old people, young people picking up home shops, or is it just it's everyone wants this stuff?
It's pretty universal.
Yeah.
It goes through all the age groups. But interestingly, I did a show earlier this year in Cleveland at the IX Center. And I noticed there was about 6 or 7 guys, and they were probably in their late 20s, I would think, early 30s maybe. And they kept coming around and they were buying HomeShops and some of the other newer kids on the block, I guess you could say, in terms of some of the manufacturers. And they came up at it was the show was closing, and they said, "Hey, are you still open for business?" Of course I am. And so they grabbed another half dozen HomeShops cars, and I said, "Hey, I noticed you bought a lot of the HomeShops. You bought some other manufacturers, but they were all newer ones. They weren't some of the ones that are more established that have been around a long time." And they said, "Yeah, we like these things have details." Ooh, wow. Sorry about that feedback there.
No, that ain't you.
Yeah. Anyways, they just indicated we love this new stuff, and their stuff is like yesterday's newspaper. We're just not interested. It doesn't have the details, doesn't have the fidelity like these newer things. Now the sample size is small, but I will tell you that all these newer manufacturers that I'm carrying, that stuff sells. And some of the other ones, they're kind of gathering dust on my racks, unfortunately.
Yeah, like the old Proto 2000 stuff. I saw a lot of that at Train Fest. I didn't see a lot of it moving, but I saw tons of people with brand new Rapido and Class 1. I saw a lot of people with Class 1 stuff in their hands, and Tangent, that stuff is just flying.
And that was one of the things when I was starting this. I've been a model railroader since I was in grade school. But when I started this business 2.5 years ago, I wanted to get things that were new, newer ideas, newer manufacturers, rather than some of the other things that everyone else seems to carry. And Andy, you're right. That's what, especially I would say people that are maybe 50 and younger. That's not to say people older than 50 aren't buying this stuff, but they are. But the younger folks really want what I call the cutting edge in model railroading.
Yeah. I mean, I got my Farland Terminal car here in the Allagash and Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. Those are all, the Rapido super fine detail, and almost all of my rolling stock is either Rapido, Tangent, or Exact Rail or something like that. It's just crazy.
Well,
and
you look at some of the rolling stock today. The selling price for some of these box cars and hoppers, $75, $79.95. I mean, and the engines now are well over $300 now with ECC and sound. The fidelity, the paint, the operating characteristics, it's tremendous. And I still have a lot of Kato. I'm an HO guy, and I still have a lot of Kato engines. And I did some detailing back in the day, and I weather them. They look pretty good, but then when you put them next to scale trains or Rapido or Broadway Limited, they're like, oh boy, look at how thick those handrails are.
So I've been kind of bullgarting the questions here. So if someone else has got some, please jump in. I find this fascinating. So if you could give Doug and Chris like one suggestion for something that they haven't made yet, what would it be? Something that you see that's missing from their HomeShops line, what would it be?
Well, one of the things I always say to Chris, hoppers, we need more hoppers.
Just regular open top hoppers, not covered hoppers.
No, covered hoppers.
Covered hoppers.
I see Doug just wrote that down.
Yeah. And I think it would probably be nice to think about anyways, passenger cars. Or at least business cars. I think that would be really cool to have business cars in some of these different freelance roads. They're really nice. And some of the stuff that's coming out from Broadway is just gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it is. It's really...
I like that passenger car idea. I wonder if anybody's out there. If somebody's out there that is doing a freelance version of Metra, I'd like to see that. That would be interesting. Or one of the freelance, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like some version of that. That would be cool. That would be really neat. I don't know if anybody does that though.
Covered hoppers. Look at the chat is just lighting up. Covered hoppers. Covered hoppers. Salt City. Yep. Joey's late night model railroad. His new endeavor.
Yep.
Covered hoppers. Look at this. Everyone, guys, this feedback here is real. I'm telling you, I could go for some covered hoppers.
Wisconsin and Midwestern.
There you go. Yep. Oh, Thomas Austin. Boy.
Yep.
Yes.
2 bays. Oh yeah, 2 bay hoppers.
2 bays ACF covered hoppers.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, just take my credit card, Chris. Just take it. Just take it.
What I'm hearing is with freight cars, smaller is better.
Doug, I don't see you writing any of this down anymore. That's a little concerning.
It's too much to write. You're gonna have to replay.
Yeah, you're gonna go back at the replay, right?
Yeah,
and write all this down. It's just want to make sure that's okay because that'll make
all this feedback we're getting here. This is
wood chip cars. I see somebody just said wood chip cars. That's an interesting one.
That's a good one too.
That's a good one.
Well, Mike, like along the lines of that passenger car idea, what would be the legs of a project on a high-end caboose? Think of like a tangent level caboose, like their I-18 or the Centralia Shops, Illinois Central Extended Wide Vision. I mean, something like that on a Freelance, because sure, we think of like a passenger car, business car, but I mean, the caboose market has started to really come alive thanks to Tangent and Genesis and stuff like that.
Absolutely. That's 100. And then I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but like the Blue Borg, they could go ahead and have like shoving platforms out of cabooses. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have it as a caboose. If you're doing more modern things like Michigan Interstate, shoving platforms would be kind of neat, or whatever railroad, that some reason that I'm going to have to go and I got to talk to Greg again.
We're going to need to get second jobs.
You and me both. Oh, wait, I already did.
Yeah. You have a second job.
So to Tom's point and Mike's point and Matt's point here about this unique equipment, these are things that we've thought about, and this foray into these locomotives that we just announced is kind of a first step, right? So when you think about investing in a car, the freight cars were where we started because it seemed like they would be the most appeal because they run everywhere. So now with these locomotives, this is going to be the same litmus test as for a passenger car or for a caboose, right? Because stunning as a GP20 Eco is, and I will buy some for my Texas and Great Northern because we interchange with them, right? It's kind of a no-brainer, and I'm biased towards it because I think they're awesome. But how many folks are going to buy them and run them on their layout if they feel like it's something that would just be captive on that property, unlike a freight car? And maybe a passenger car and a caboose would fit in that same bucket. I don't know, but if these locomotives are gone very soon, then that tells me that people aren't just interested in freight cars for a railroad that may not be what they're specifically going to model. And that these orders that are bunching up are really data finding missions for us.
Sure.
Chris Palmieri isn't going to retire early because of the SD38-2s, right? It's going to tell us, all right, are folks nibbling on pieces of equipment that aren't a per diem boxcar that goes everywhere? And so we're definitely paying attention to what these products do, and would love to hear very specific suggestions about a caboose or a passenger car that we think might have the bandwidth to get around and show up off of a railroad that is the home roads railroad that is modeled.
Chris, go ahead. Go ahead, Andy.
The one thing that pops into my head is just the interaction, like the VNO pops right into my head right away, right? And just with all the connection between the Allegheny Midland and the Ohio Southern and the Cardinal system and the Davies Steel, that whole kind of eastern, or the
Rust Belt,
the Rust Belt region, right? They're all connected, right? So like right away that kind of says, yep, I could see a business train with B&O car or VNO cars going all the way through all that, that whole Rust Belt area and be plausible.
And I'm, really encouraged by, we did this freelance forum, and we put a challenge out for folks to come up with office cars to run on an office car special. And
I figured, so cool.
I figured
it's fun.
It surely was. And Mike, thank you for the car that you contributed to that. But I thought we'd have like 7 cars. We had 24 cars.
That was so cool.
That speaks volumes of the interest that folks have in passenger cars. And I think as a fan of Amtrak, how many times have you seen Amtrak with private varnish on the rear of it,
Yep.
or a railroad's business car going to here or there? I know, BNSF business cars just went to an event in the Northeast, right? So they all have wheels under them. They could roll anywhere, but will folks buy them? So we're paying attention to these GP20 Ecos and SD38s, and we're gonna see what they do.
You know, one thing about, I got a couple of things to say on this whole topic right now. Number one, Chris, to speak to the office car special, the coolest thing about that is when you're looking at all 28 of those cars lined up, and there wasn't a single one, not one, that you would look at and say, there's no way a railroad would ever paint it like that. Not a single one. The amount of detail and research that the car owners put into how business cars look was clearly evident. It wasn't just a, hey, let's slap my name on the side of a car type of thing. Every one of them, at least I felt, really took the time to make sure that they had an identity and that car represented their railroad. And it was so cool. I mean, it was
every
just
one
so
of them
cool.
was worthy of an RPM display.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. Absolutely. 100%. And then, you know, you touched on something that I've actually kind of wanted to do for a long time, Chris, too, and it's just something I thought I heard somebody was starting to do this, and I've kind of lost track if it's still a thing. But you mentioned about your railroad connects with the KP. I mean, and all joking aside, you know, for those that really think that Greg and I have a beef with each other, we don't. But we just like to give each other crap about our railroads. That's it. But the thing is like Greg's, Michigan Interstate and the railroads that are part of that, they technically are connecting railroads at one point with, the Mascooten Valley and my Farland Terminal. And there's like regional pockets where these freelance railroads make sense to connect with each other. And it's, I don't know that there's actually, like, I've always wanted to get a map made of the freelance community and see exactly what that looks like, or what the freelance community would look like in a map, if that makes any sense at all.
No, that makes great sense. And Greg did a really good job of doing maps for his railroads. And yes, when we started the Freelance Hub conversation, we had a conversation about would the front page have an interactive map? How cool would that be? And then we realized we don't quite have the bandwidth to design that ourselves right away. But yeah, that would be awesome. A big challenge with that comes in the freelance world. As big as this community is getting, there's overlap of railroads.
Yes.
So how would you necessarily address that or depict that on a map? Because in your world, you may have a line from Green Bay to here or there as part of your railroad, and somebody else may have that as their freelance story too. So how would you graphically do that? And I think there's ways to do that, but when all the comments here, if there is somebody who is just really stellar with map drawing abilities, reach out to me. We've got some projects we'd like to do.
And one more thing I'd like to say is if there's anybody out there watching or at one point listening to this this podcast that's from the West Coast, please get a hold of somebody out here, out in the ether here, because you almost feel as if there's almost like a demarcation line in the United States, that once you hit the Rocky Mountains or the Continental Divide, east of the Continental Divide is where all the stuff happens. And then west of that, you almost hardly ever hear of anything going on.
It's like the end of the earth.
It's like the end of the earth, yeah. And
so Eric Bruman did it so well.
Yeah. Right.
True.
You got me there, Matt. But I mean, honestly, other than the Utah belt, you really don't hear of a lot of freelance railroads from the western portion of the United States, and it would be really kind of neat to see some of that. I mean, they've got railroads out there too. I mean, and it's so we kind of, don't you think, Andy? Don't we kind of end up kind of Mississippi East?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, and it's not by bias for us of any sort. It's just that's kind of the way things land. It's Washington Northern. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few exceptions, but to your point, as we look at the demographics of our sales, our online sales, somehow the West Coast and California especially seem to be very underrepresented. I mean, we will sell a ton of stuff in Ohio and New Jersey and Florida, but
thanks, Jeremy.
Is it because there's no basements in California? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Matt, you live in California. Were there basements out there?
No, not hardly.
Yeah.
No. But see, now here, that's a good point. Matt lives in California.
No, not anymore.
Or not anymore. That's right.
No.
That's right. But he's modeling not out there.
No.
No. Oh, very good.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot to chew on here as far as future directions to go, for sure.
So let's land the plane with Tom here real quick, and then we'll get into the segment with Matt. So Tom, I got you here, southeasthobbies.com. You're going to be where this weekend?
I'm doing a show in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the Neuse Valley Railroad Club sponsors that show. It's pretty well attended. There'll probably be 4,000 or 5,000 people there this weekend. And then I'm going to do Oklahoma City next weekend, and then I shut it down. I have so much inventory that's come in. I have to get on my website, and it's really I'm a one-man band. Plus, I have my wife that helps, and I have my brother and sister. I need to find a social media manager. I need to find someone to work on my website. And someone to help with my show.
If anyone wants to volunteer to help Tom out,
well, I pay.
Contact him at his website.
Yeah. Oh, and
those problems all sound familiar.
Yeah. The business growth has been phenomenal. I just didn't even expect it. I don't know what I expected, actually. And my background is in corporate finance, and I was in charge of FP&A at several banks, and yet, who's the guy that doesn't have a budget for next year for his business?
I was going to say the personal finance guy.
There is no budget for trains.
No, Chris, you're right. I love that. Yes, that's a bad word.
Yeah,
bad word.
Budget. There's no such thing as budget. So do you have a easy, so like if I go to a show and I don't know that you're going there, is there an easy way to find you? If I'm at a show and you might be there, how can I find you? And I don't know you're going to be there. I
need to put something first of all on the website.
Okay.
I know Spring Creek, very nice folks out in Nebraska. They have a section on their website where you can click on it, and it's a drop down. I need to add something like that. I do have a Facebook site dedicated for Southeast Hobbies. I should put something out on there.
Okay.
And the thing is, I have a long list of things I'm trying to do, and I'm crossing things off, but the list at the bottom keeps growing. And so I need to get the word out because I'm starting to find some folks are coming back and at the different shows, and what's really gratifying is when I hear someone say, "Yeah, I came to the show because I knew you were going to be here." And I got a lot of that actually at Amherst this past January, which was only our second show. I had a tremendous amount of N scale inventory with me, And there wasn't that many dealers that had N scale, and N scale is actually very, very big part of my business, and it seems like it's growing. And of course, the product offerings are getting much better than they were in the past.
Yeah, it's N scale's kind of up and coming. I think there's a lot of growth there yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring this back up on the stage here. So this is how we can find you, right? The big HomeShops display.
And all the orange tablecloths. I like to call it the orange armada.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, you can see that in that sign there in the lower right corner. I had those made up just recently with the arrows. When I did that N scale show in Overland Park, Kansas in the summer, I was down in the basement, and 90 or 95% of all the activity was on the main floor in this hotel convention center. And I wasn't getting a lot of people down there. And so I took one of my signs, one of those banners. It didn't have the arrow. And I went up the escalator and I put it up there. And I noticed someone else had a sign like something like this, and they had a little arrow. And so now I got a whole bunch of these signs, and I put them everywhere. I think I'm going to put one in the men's room for the next show.
That's a good idea.
One at the bar.
One at the bar too.
Yeah, there. Yes, there. Yes.
Yep.
The bar.
Just
yes,
all you got to do is just put your Southeast Hobbies like logo right in front of every urinal, right in front on the wall, so people aren't going to miss when they're standing there. They're never going to miss it. Right?
Well, the Michigan Interstate logos are already there, Mike.
Yeah, they're at the bottom of the urinal.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
What I really want to make sure
known. I did not say that.
What I really want to make sure that a takeaway here is, and again, I get a lot of folks reach out. Are you going to go to this show or that show? And unlike Tom, I haven't given up my day job yet, so that time is really, really at a premium. And by proxy, and Spring Creek does a really good job of moving stuff for us or representing us at a number of shows. But Tom, if you're going to a show and Southeast Hobbies is there, HomeShops might as well be there. Is the point? So I want folks to be familiar with Tom, to be familiar with the orange tables, and we created this display together, with the HomeShops logo flying at the top, so that when we're not there, folks can follow the bat signal and know where these trains are and available. So we are extremely grateful that this partnership is developed, along with others, of course. But it's invaluable.
If HomeShops is putting it out, we'll have it. I have a standing order with Chris that anything that's coming out, we'll take it sight unseen, kind of, so to speak. And I just know that it's well made, it's popular, and it's just the proof is in the pudding, really. When you walk up to that display there and you start seeing these different roads and the artwork, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, the creativity of all of the road owners to make their own logos and all of the thought that goes into it, it's on full display. I just love it. So, Tom, thank you so much for coming on to the show this evening. You're welcome to stay with us and be part of the Peanut Gallery. Or if you need to go get some sleep, that's fine too. We do understand. And I hope Chris makes you tag along for another show sometime. I think we'd love to have you back on to talk more about your involvement with HomeShops.
Thanks, Andy. I really appreciate it. I really liked being on. I'm going to go get lunch now.
Lunch?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I've been on the road and it's just been crazy. So thanks everyone. I really appreciate being on. Have a good night.
Thank you. Yeah, good night.
Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
All right, Ty.
You.
Thanks, Tom. All right, so the second section is going to roll on here with our second segment of the evening. So, Chris, do you want to tee up Mr. Gentry's segment?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Matt was at the Freelance Forum at Greeley, and he was one of our clinicians. And it was kind of the official debut of his Modern Yankeetown Dock Corporation. And I think he's pulled some excerpts from that clinic to share with the greater audience here what he's got going on. And of course, we've just announced the very first two Modern Yankeetown Dock offerings we're going to have, because I think it's just really cool stuff. So
yeah,
Matt, go ahead.
This is cool. I'm excited for this. Matt, welcome, and take it away.
Cool. Well, thanks. Glad to be here. First and foremost, I want to get a little bit of housekeeping work out of the way. As some of you guys know, some of the viewers I'm sure know, I have been in the model railroad industry for the last, gosh, has it been over 11 years now? It has been. But I'm coming and doing this. This is me. This is Matt, the model railroader. This is not endorsed in any way, shape, or form by any previous or current employers. This is totally separate. I am not endorsed to be here. This is me. So
Hi,
just
Matt.
so there's no question or anything like that.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Matt, the modeler, not the manufacturer.
Yeah. So,
It's really cool that there are people, so many people in the hobby and the industry that are actually model railroaders, and they get overwhelmed by their personalities as part of their professional life, and we don't really get to learn much about them as individual modelers. So this is a real neat opportunity to make that step.
And so yeah, but getting on to the YDC here, like I sort of mentioned before we got started, this was something that I've been kicking around for about the last 10 to 12 years, because it's just one of those things, like what if, and so why this? And so this is the clinic. This is a very trimmed down version of the clinic that I did in Greeley. So Mike, you've seen a bunch of this already.
Oh yeah. This is going to be good. Buckle up, guys.
But so why the Yankeetown Dock Corporation, and why a modern version of it? And this is primarily why, like I say, being in the industry, I've sort of learned, what do people model and what do people like to model? Well, the bug bit me too, because I grew up watching this little railroad. So, my childhood home is right here at this origin point, and I went to Yankeetown Elementary School, which is right over here. And so I made this trek up to school and back for 7 years, and I have an older sister, so really I made this trek for 9 years. And this is important because Yankeetown Dock Corporation is right here. And so I crossed this bridge every day for 9 years watching this silly little railroad. And so why do I like it? Because I grew up watching it.
Yep.
And this is the type of stuff that I grew up with. The old script cars here, and then this is from one view looking to the north off that highway bridge, and you could see the trains coming down, bringing the coal down from the mines up at Linville and Boonville. And then if you look to the south, you had this view down to the aluminum plant, down to the power plant. This, of course, is a more modern photo, but I primarily remember seeing the green and yellow U-boats. And, if only a manufacturer would make a U-33C short and high hood, that'd be fantastic. No reason. But these are the locomotives and the trains and everything that I remember seeing, and then looking down and seeing the SD38-2s. I was just talking to a friend and coworker today. It's like, if something ever happens to 20 and 21, I sure hope they get saved, because those two locomotives mean something to me. I wouldn't think that they would, but they do. So So that's why I like the Yankeetown Dock Corporation. And then it becomes, well, what can you do with it? And so, first of all, who is the Yankeetown Dock Corporation? And for the people that don't know, it's this 22-mile little railroad, coal hauling railroad that's in southern Indiana. Like up here on my other slide, I mean, it's right down here, southwest corner of the state, almost as far southwest as you can get. And so that's all they did was there's a mine up here at Linville, and then they had the mine up here at Boonville. And they just hauled the coal down here to Yankeetown to the rotary dump, which transferred onto the river. And so they did not bring, to my knowledge, these mines did not power the power plant, but I'm still trying to verify that information. But the power plant was built for the aluminum plant, so it's not a very large output power plant. It was basically built to supply the smelters there at Alcoa, and then any surplus power, of course, would feed into the grid. So in the size of power plants, it's a very small power plant. So most of the coal was going down and transferring onto the river barges and then off to whoever bought them. So really, we need to define what the Yankeetown Dock Corporation is. And it is this red line here, and this is the reality of it. This is how it actually is today. And then Norfolk Southern owns the line from Huntingburg, which is the former Southern Railroad, of course, that would come down, and then it would split down here at Lincoln City, and then keep going down Spencer County along US 231, or it would go west into Warwick and Vandenberg County over into Evansville. And then the two lines would cross at Boonville. And so this is sort of how my version of the Yankeetown Dock Corporation came to be, is what would that look like if the Norfolk Southern actually didn't buy this, or didn't acquire this rather, and the Yankeetown Dock Corporation actually has it all. And so this is sort of my story, is that the YDC continued to exist, and we still own and operate coal hauling out of the mines here at Linville and Boonville, because the mines did get reactivated in the 2000s and all the way up until about 2020-ish, 2021, somewhere in there. And then so my story is taking the railroad, and we're still operational today, because whenever the Norfolk Southern actually bought and owned the trackage of the YDC, they actually upgraded this. So this is all actually really nice welded rail, heavy rail. So it's good infrastructure. And so that's sort of how I'm taking this, is that this is just a modern version of it, nice heavy rail. And so how can the YDC continue to remain viable out of just this, 60 miles worth of track here? And so whenever we purchased the line coming down from Huntingburg, the major win for the railroad is this AK steel plant right here, and then the AEP plant, which is down here at the Ohio River. And this AEP plant is actually the largest coal-fired plant in the state of Indiana. And they are actually supplied by riverboat, or by barges rather, for Powder River Basin coal. And at one time they were getting coal brought in by rail. And, that would come in from the west on the Norfolk Southern, and come down from Huntingburg. And so that is how a lot of this railroad is able to maintain its viability, is because of these two plants right here, on top of taking coal to market on the transload here at Yankeetown.
Wow.
So, and like some of my story here is, we're getting new service and bringing more service online with the access to the Norfolk Southern here at Huntingburg. We can go into the Illinois Basin for all the Illinois Basin coal, and then bring it back and transload it onto the river. And so that's with the different power and the different requirements, that's where like the SD60s come in for the railroad, and then some of the new rotary cars come in for the railroad, and how all this sort of works and stays together. So we got the Bethgon hoppers secondhand from CSX, and they've all been patched out and everything like that for YDC. But also for the 60Ms, I wanted to run fuel tenders because, you know, we're very short, very small railroad, and, you know, we don't get the fuel online from anybody else, and there's no fueling stations between the YDC and the mines. So, you know what? We have to run fuel tenders. And the other reason I did that is just because I like it.
That is cool. That is really cool.
There's no better reason to do it other than that last one right there.
Right.
Just because you like it, that makes it awesome.
Because, you know, I've got the coal train bug for whatever reason. I guess it's from watching the YDC. And, you know, I've been out to the Powder River Basin, western Nebraska, eastern Wyoming a couple of times, and just seeing all the photos like Crawford Hill with the 60Ms for the BN with the fuel tenders between them. Oh my gosh. So that's why we did it, because it's cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
That is really cool.
I love that.
The other thing, you know, we were talking about cabooses earlier. I totally forgot, because it's cool. Once again, the YDC, the modern YDC, has two transfer cabooses that are white with the Yankeetown script lettering on them. And they're going to be at the end of the trains that go up to the mines at Linville and Boonville, you know, for crews and switch crews and all that sort of stuff. So they are actually still in the shops being painted right now. But if Chris, you ever want to do some Blueford cabooses, whatever happened to Blueford shops anyway?
Yeah, what happened to them?
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's a transfer caboose idea for you. So, but anyway, back to the YDC. So the AK steel plant, this is where the finger racks come from that Chris talked about earlier, is to service and carry product out of the AK steel plant. Because what I do know is that there are coil steel trains that come out of Cincinnati and go south on the Rat Hole. And then is it at, I think it's at Danville, Kentucky, is where they peel off. Then they head west to Louisville and get on the line west. And then they come over to Huntingburg and go to this AK steel plant. And it's all coil steel cars. So I'm not sure what actually leaves that AK steel plant. But in my version, we're going to have finger flats with rebar leaving that AK steel plant.
Cool.
So enter the finger rack flat. Like I say, or like Chris has sort of said, this was something that we had sort of been talking about for a little while, and he just sort of pitched this idea to me. He's like, so could you use a finger rack flat with that steel plant you got there? And talking to him, and then another railroader friend of mine, it's kind of like, well, you know what? I think I can make that work. So if you notice, this is what I'm going to call a repainted modern car. Of course, the YDC acquired it and overhauled it, but that's why this is not the quote unquote corporate logo. This is the modern, just text logo for anything that won't get the corporate identity. So this is a bit of a different branding direction, but it's still a rendition of the modern Yankeetown Dock Corporation. But then the second thing is, like I said, the AEP generating station that is down there on the Ohio River. The story is, on my end of it, is that they were asking for supplemental train sets by the YDC, the owners of the rail that serves them, because they were trying to redistribute some of their AEP train sets. And so, you know what? We're not going to say no to business. So we did. And the way that we could get coal hoppers quick enough to supply this plant was we had to go to Johnstown, and we got these rapid discharge auto flood 3s. And so this is the second announcement that HomeShops made for the modern YDC there at Greeley, is this car here. And so since this is a new car, this is why this gets the new corporate image and the YDC and everything. And to me, in keeping with the YDC theme, is the rotary ends and the color blocking is white. So that's an homage to the original white coal hoppers that they ran back
nice
in the back 70s, 80s, so on. So yeah, there you go.
Those look really cool.
So, now, Chris and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. No, I've seen plenty. These are the aluminum rapid discharge cars, right? That who in real life made these? Were these done by Trinity?
These are Freight Car America.
Freight Car America. Okay. Yeah. No, are these the ones that would have the paddle on the side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the paddle right there.
That's the paddle right there. Okay. Yeah. So now for those that aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, is that there's Matt, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there's certain locations would go through and they'd have a paddle that's stuck out, and when you hit that paddle, it automatically triggered the air to open. It has its own contained air system,
right?
And then the doors all open, and then when they get to the other end, there's another system on the car that closes the doors automatically, right? Once it's discharged.
Right. So there's a paddle here, and then in the corresponding location on the other side of the car. And so whenever those paddles are engaged, all the pneumatic for the discharge system here on the right side is activated, and it opens those gates.
Yeah.
And this is a separate pneumatic system compared to the brake system, which is on the other end of the car.
Right.
And then whenever, like you say, whenever the paddles get released, the dump doors retract, and then the train can just keep on going wherever it's going.
So this is just my engineering brain taking over. Do the pneumatics hold it closed, or do they hold it open? So does the pressure hold it open or closed?
It's my understanding that the pneumatics hold it open. So, but
you would want your fail-safe to be closed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you're going to hit things with the doors in the down position. It almost is at rail height, if I remember.
Oh, so they're pretty low to the.
They do swing down quite far, as far as from what I can remember seeing. Because we used to get these in Manitowoc every once in a while, these exact cars, and they would be the power plant down there would have a hell of a time trying to unload them because of the fact that they were so different than any of the regular 3-bay rapid or 3-bay discharge cars that they had. So whenever they got these, it took them like twice as long. And I just told them one day, I said, why don't you just put air to it through the, whatever, and with the trackmobile, and they did. And then they started using the paddles. They actually would go up there and hit the paddle or something. I'm not sure. And then hit the other one, and it made a heck of a mess because they're but whatever, that wasn't our problem. But so yeah, these are really cool cars. Those are really, really cool. Sorry.
No, you're good. Ask questions, please. I felt like I was circle breathing there. So but so yeah, that's where the auto flood idea came from. Again, Chris sort of pitched it to me. We've got this auto flood project coming up with Rapido. Do you want in on it? And it's like, you know what? I can make that work. So, because again, I'm a sucker for a coal train. So Chris saw me coming a mile away.
Yeah.
These are all the notes that Doug is writing down in the background. He's like, all right, Matt's a coal guy. And he likes everything.
He's actually just playing tic-tac-toe is probably what
or Sudoku or whatever.
Or a Sudoku, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
All of the above.
No, that's good.
And so, And remember, so right now the timeline for this, because we acquired that section of railroad in about 2008, 2009, 2010. And so we were taking delivery of the cars and everything like that. But you know what? We got to have power to run these trains, because the AEP plant gets their coal from the Powder River Basin. So these trains are going west to Wyoming. And since we can get out onto the southern, we can get on the southern and go over to Centralia, and we hand the trains off to the BNSF at Centralia, and then they go through the routing up to Galesburg and over to Lincoln, Nebraska, and on to Alliance, Nebraska that way. Well, what kind of power was on these trains? Well, we also had to source our own power. And so we sourced some SD60s and some Dash 840Cs.
Oh, cool.
And the way that I did this was, again, the friend of mine that was helping me with it, we sort of looked and dug into, well, what power was for sale or on the auction block or what have you in 2008, 2009. Well, whenever we were looking for this, some of the ex-Oakway SD60s were listed for sale through NRE and then EMD. And then the Dash 8s that were coming off of the UP. So these are the ex-Chicago Northwestern Dash 8s that the UP acquired in that merger, takeover, acquisition, whatever you want to call it. And so I just found it kind of ironic that, you know what, we're getting former Powder River Basin locomotives onto our trains. They're going back to the Powder River Basin. So that was also sort of the cherry on top, is this was coal train power. So you know what, these will work for my coal trains.
Yeah, those Dash 8s from the C&W spent a lot of time out there.
Yep.
Only reason I did that, Andy, is because I've run those damn things on the CN, because the CN bought them from the UP.
Right.
And they ended up in Green Bay, and they were turds when we got them. They were not good. They were used up, and oh my goodness, I tell you what. And now I run the SD60s. Because we bought all the Oakway XT60s.
Yep.
So we have like half a dozen of those here, at least 4 to 6 of them in Green Bay at all, quite often. So I mean, it's kind of neat to hear you talk about your railroad with engines that I run. It's kind of neat. That's actually pretty cool.
Well, and I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's exactly where these came from. Is these 10 and these 7 didn't go to the CN. I got them.
Yeah. Perfect.
So, so anyway, these do get repainted, and they get repainted in the traditional white with the red stripes and the YDC script lettering up here. And so, yeah, and we continue the YDC numbering scheme, because if you remember, the 38-2s were 20, 21, and 22. And so there are other locomotives before these that sort of picked up with that scheme, but these locomotives are, in the double digits, real low. And so they're just going back and forth, ferrying back and forth between the AEP plant and then the Powder River Basin. And kind of the cool thing is that these could also be picked up and seen because again, the railroader friend of mine was like, what happens whenever one of these gets bad ordered somewhere on the BNSF? Well, one of these could end up somewhere on the BNSF in another coal train going to another power plant. It could end up on the Transcon going to LA or something. So that's what I kind of like, this idea of, you could be running a modern BNSF train and have a YDC locomotive in it paying back horsepower hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, that is an absolutely 100% plausible, idea, concept. You see it all the time. We see it every day. That's awesome.
And, like you and I talked there in Greeley, Mike, one of the Dash 8s is going to end up with the Can Do America scheme on it.
I know. I can't wait for that. I tell you what, that was my first. That was actually my first question to him.
Yep. Yep.
I was like, was there going to be an engine with the can-do scheme on it?
Yeah, because originally the answer was no, but after you, it's like, yeah, okay.
You got to have one. I mean,
Yeah.
you had the one SD38. You got to have one of the new engines. Got to have
Right.
one.
Right, because the locomotive roster now is 10 times what the original YDC ever had.
Right.
So, but anyway, so with this Western coal scheme, you know, moving into the 2000s or the 2020s rather, we started with the coal that we were bringing in. These people were clients, customers, whatever, were asking, you know, well, what about more Powder River Basin coal to transload onto the river as a alternative to all the BNSF trains going to Calvert City? You know, we're basically a direct competition for BNSF in the Calvert City transload facility. And so, okay, you've got all this experience going west. Well, what about metallurgical coal? Well, where does metallurgical coal come from? It comes from Utah and Arizona.
Yep.
And what railroads in Utah and Arizona?
Yeah, you know what?
The Utah belt.
Yeah.
So this was not in order to get any sort of attention. This was sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, so I could justify the ace that I bought from Eric Berman. And ironically, it's that one right there. I have 4359 that is in this photo.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
And so how the Utah Belt trains are going to work is the Utah Belt is providing the cars, and then the YDC is providing the power. So you will see eventually there will be a train powered with YDC locomotives, and then I'll of course run 4359 in it as a lease locomotive, but then I will have a Utah Belt coal train at some point. That will just be ferrying the coal trains back and forth from Utah. And the way we get those trains is the Utah Belt goes through Albuquerque, and then because we have the relationship with the BNSF, it will get on the BNSF Transcon at Albuquerque and head east. And whether it peels off at Oklahoma and goes over to St. Louis and to the Norfolk Southern that way, or if it ends up going all the way up to Galesburg, it just depends on the routing that we can get and the service from the BNSF. So,
is your stuff going to be DPU at all?
Yeah. So the trains that I run are basically going to be, where did I say? They're basically going to be 2+1.
Okay.
So that's the plan moving forward, except for the short trains up to like the mine at Oaktown, Indiana, for the power plant there at Yankeetown, because those are shorter trains. Those are basically just going to be 2 locomotives on the lead, and then they'll go back that way with the fuel tenders. So, but the long distance trains are going to be 2+1. And then finally, because we kept getting more and more traffic and requests for service, we kept having to expand our locomotive roster and our car roster. So again, in 2021, what locomotives were up for sale? Well, that's whenever Norfolk Southern started ditching all the ACU rebuilds that they did. And because I'm a sucker for that long chassis SD90 Mac platform, we picked up a bunch of ACUs from Progress Rail.
Wow.
And so this was actually the train that I had running there in Greeley on the layout that we got a couple of photos of and a couple of videos of, I think. So I had the ACUs and the 44-car rotary train on the layout. But if you notice, I didn't put it in here, sorry, so you didn't notice. But with this purchase of 20 ACUs, there is an additional option for more locomotives. So if there's more locomotives optional, that could be some foreshadowing for something later, because this part of my clinic was only up to 2023. And of course, we're in 2025, or at the end of it now. So we've got a little bit more story to cover, which requires more locomotives. So I'm excited for the next part of the story.
I'll tell you what, Matt, that paint scheme of the Yankeetown just absolutely flows really well with the lines of that ACU unit. I mean, some paint schemes just don't look good with something like an engine of that size. And I'm not blowing smoke or not. This one really does flow well with that, with your paint scheme on that. That really does look nice.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. And speaking of the paint, I really need to give my hand, tip my hat to, oh gosh, now I'm going to escapes me. Who painted these, Chris?
Michael Stokes.
Stokes. Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry, Michael.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. Michael Stokes, I got to tip my hat to him for his work and efforts to knock these out. The painting efforts on my end over the summer didn't work out too good, and Chris, and this summer, that was totally my fault. I'll own up to that. It was on me. But Chris put me in contact with Michael and said, hey, can you do this? And he dropped everything for me and got these 2 ACU units done for me. So thanks again to you, Michael. But so here's some glamour shots that me and a coworker took at the Pele layout at the Scale Trains headquarters of the ACUs and the coal drag. And so this basically is how the operation is going to look. Number 21 is still in the original red and white stripe scheme, but it's all faded, tattered, weathered, wore out. Whereas, you know, the new paint locomotives are nice and bright and clean and shiny. And so it actually worked out pretty good whenever I picked up that 38-2 off of eBay a couple of years ago. So, and then these are what the patched rotary cars look like.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, and so
I like that.
And that's how I wanted this to come across. So as you notice, that's got the just the block serif text on it, which is the modern repaint identity. And so I just wanted this to be, you know, a guy's out there with a piece of vinyl covering up the CSX information, because these are secondhand cars. It's cheap and quick as we can get them back on the road.
Yeah, right.
So and again, these are just all that CSX had stored, so that's why they're all different. They're all different colors, that sort of thing. And then just some good images, pacing shots of the locomotives. That's what the photographer Logan, he's really good at these pacing shots. So these some great images we got from this.
That looks sweet.
So, but then the other thing was, after the freelance forum, Jimmy and Jeremy, who at least were watching, and I want to give shout out to those guys, took the train contest over to the Fall River division.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so they got a lot of good content, video content that I'll start dropping on the HomeShops page and the Freelance pages and such like that, and to just sort of get the YDC out there. But this is just some great stuff that they were able to get. Anything looks good on John's layout. So kudos to John on the layout. Thanks to Jeremy and Jimmy for getting the footage for me. So just some really good work by those guys.
Yeah.
Actually, this is on Jimmy's Arvada and Western module. And so this was a little story that we created. You know, the mines in Wyoming were shut down for service, maintenance, what have you. And so the YDC trains had to be filled in Colorado. And so that's how they ended up on the Arvada Western. So, so yeah, just a couple of other glamour shots there on John's layout. And so, yeah, that's the YDC.
That is awesome.
So
and we're bringing it to you guys because it's cool.
Yeah, so, it's a great freelance, freelance railroad. You know what I mean? It's like every concept that you've come up with is plausible, and it was a railroad that did exist, and you've brought it to today, and it's phenomenal. This is awesome. I love this.
Thanks. And that's sort of what I wanted this to be, is not that I wanted to mimic, well, I guess I would be mimicking, how Eric Bruman operated the Utah Bout, is how he kept it modern and kept it up to date and everything like that. Yep. But the backstory for this is I just wanted it to make sense. So, the equipment procurement dates, what was for sale, how we got it, so on and so forth, like the Dash 8s and the SD60s, like we were chatting about. That's where I just wanted it all to make sense and not just come out of left field as, oh, well, we had GP9s and GP7s and all this sort of stuff. It's like, no, that doesn't fit.
Right. No, and I think those little details are, essentially it's that whole, I guess that whole plausibility, is what the freelancer is going for, right? And I love the idea of taking a real railroad and then, not letting it be a fallen flag. I think it's awesome. And it turned out really, really cool.
Yeah. And so, that was how it happened. And so, again, I appreciate and thank Chris for reaching out and again, being the swift kick in the rear to get this going and dangling, getting some HomeShops.
It's amazing. Product. It's amazing how powerful a deadline can be, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. You should have seen the apartment, like the desk over here, and I had an assembly line over on the bar putting resistor wheel sets on these coal hoppers. That how many days did I strip decal and put resistor wheel sets on those 44 coal hoppers? I think I did that in
like a solid 2 weeks.
Yeah, like had I put the days together, it would have been all been done in 4 days. Like,
oh my God.
That was a lot of cross-eyed nights going to bed.
Well, you've got one heck of a train to show for it, and now you've got something to start generating media.
Yeah.
There's a couple things about this story that appeal to me that I want to point out. And how many times in Matt's presentation did you hear about interconnectivity with other freelances? The Utah Belt, the Arvada Western, they would load on the Powder River or on John Parker's Fall River Division, and it's very unique. It's a very small railroad, but its flag is being flown very, very far, and it kind of reminds me. And Doug, maybe you might remember it from a few prior careers ago. I seem to remember a number of articles in the 90s that were speculating about how the future of American railroads were going to be. And there was some comparison to what goes on in Australia, where your railroads basically sell slots on their main line for other companies to operate trains on. And I think over there, they're their crews as well. But this is, and there was speculation, would there be J.B. Hunt and UPS trains on the Transcon, and would there be Cargill trains on the BN? And this is kind of it just reminds me of that. When you start introducing what if variables, you can start flying your flags far beyond the scope of just the physical property of the railroad you've created. And I think Matt's done that in an awesome way.
So, Matt, is there, obviously, since it's basically today, there's always opportunity for the Yankeetown to expand, right?
And so technically yes, but that's where this little constraint is sort of creating a unique part of the story, which starts in 2024, unfortunately. But the foreshadowing part is that because we're by a power plant, because we're by the aluminum plant, and because everything to the north is all farmland that we don't own, the YDC can't expand.
Oh,
so we have to acquire and go somewhere else. So that's sort of the foreshadowing part, is there's another leg to this story, and there's another railroad coming into the fold. And so
wait, it's not blue with
and it sounds like Michigan Interstate.
It's not going to have Alaska yellow noses in it, does it?
I'm going to let that live rent free in your mind until I tell the story.
Man,
that's.
But there's going to be more transload service available at the new site, because we have a lot more room to expand. And so just think of other commodities that get transloaded onto river barges. So there will be, hopefully, if the YDC projects at HomeShops sell well, like the finger racks and the auto floods, hopefully if those sell well, then Chris will take another chance on the future railroad acquisition of the YDC.
I'm excited to see what it looks like.
So yes, everybody watching, still listening, get your YDC finger rack flats, and everybody needs a 50-car coal train. So
yes, they do. Duh.
Because I do, because I'm going to have at least
you do.
And they hopefully John Park will have us back again, and so we will load at the Fall River mine and with the auto flood cars and go from there. And speaking of the great story of the traveling train, how Tom and Southeast Hobbies mentioned they're going to be at Oklahoma City next weekend. I will actually be at Oklahoma City with the Gulf Western Modular Society, and I will have this train operating on the way out. So I'll have the 2 ACUs and
nice,
and at least 39 of the cars. I've got 5 more here. I might try to take them in the carry-on. I don't know. So if anybody wants to come visit, see the train, chat, whatever, I will be in Oklahoma City.
That's awesome. And yeah, Matt, this is a really cool layout, and thanks for sharing it. And just one final note, and maybe another plug for HomeShops here. I got to say, we were at Train Fest, and Mike Slater was with a modular group, and he had basically a HomeShops Express rolling around in the modules with V&O power out front and the whole string. There's nothing would look better than a string of YDC coal hoppers behind a Allegheny Midland Power or something like that.
Sure.
I think that looked great.
Yep. Yeah, and to sort of bring back what Chris was talking about, how the YDC equipment gets out. Like, I'm really trying to find a way to get onto the Tennessee Southern, because I think just a Rocky Top Dash 9 in the consist. Whoo.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Sexy.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
I know.
But yeah, so, and I forget I had this at my elbow, but you see what's getting ready to be stripped there, Mike.
You're a good man, Matt.
Doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, you're doing the Lord's work. Yep.
That's awesome. Very good. Very good. All right. So now we come to the boring part of the show here. Where we're going to go into phase 3 of this evening's show.
Thanks again, Matt.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
You got anything else that you want to talk about, Matt, before we...
yeah, if there's anything that you could do to save the audience from whatever's going to happen next.
Oh, you're going to be fine. You're going to do great. You're going to be great. So. Well, I'd like to introduce our the next portion of our segment. I've got a short line of the show.
Oh, good.
Andy has got Chris. If you could you kind of lead us into how you and Andy got hooked up with this?
Well, this is just kind of an assumption. I think that you guys both, Andy and Mike, You're hosts here, and you've got awesome freelance concepts of your own. And you kind of keep your audience, abreast of what you've got going on. But I don't think we've ever done like a real formal deep dive. You did on the short line of the month segment once. You did a really good job there, and that kind of coincided with the Farland Terminal boxcar. And I thought, with what we've got in the pipeline, let's replicate that with Andy, because I don't think. Yeah, Andy's so good of a host. He's always talking about his guests and everything else, and it hasn't really done a good deep dive into the Mascooten Valley. So I thought I asked Andy if he would be a guest on the Second Section podcast to talk about the Mascooten Valley, and he graciously accepted.
That's
right.
good. That's good, because I mean, the Mascooten Valley has it is a very cool concept, is what it is. It's not too unfamiliar or unlike what Matt's doing to a certain degree, but Andy, take it away, dude. The floor is yours.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So
oh jeez, God, I really didn't think you were going to lead with that picture.
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about
phenomenal.
We got to talk
That's
about.
That's an awesome picture, and we'll get that on the Freelance Hub here shortly.
So we got to talk about the history of the Mascooten Valley, and then we'll kind of get into the concept. So yeah, so the important railroad history dates here for the Mascooten Valley was in 1909. The Mascooten Valley actually didn't exist just yet. It was called the Poisippi Railway, and Poisippi is a town in Wisconsin that's a little bit north of Ripon here, where I live, but it's just a little map dot with a bar and a church and a gas station today. But back in my world in 1909, it was a burgeoning community that was the source of a railroad that had 12 miles of trackage between Poisippi and Berlin, Wisconsin. And if you notice, the founder there, he's a pretty good looking fella. He looks pretty familiar. Barnaby J. Farnsworth. Yeah, it's that's what they looked like back in 1909, according to ChatGPT. So, but yeah, and then what the Poisippi Railway in 1921 merged with the fictitious West Rosendale and Ladoga Railroad, and that was another local area railroad. And the West Rosendale piece is where I grew up. So in reality, West Rosendale was a station stop on the Chicago Northwestern Railroad. And my parents' house actually, their property butted right up to the tracks, and so I would see Jeep 7s and old rebuilt Baldwins going down the line. So that's where I kind of got my start in the railway. And I always thought there would be an old railroad that was the West Rosendale and whatever. So my version of the world had the West Rosendale and Ladoga essentially merge with the Poisippi Railway in 1921. And then in taking us to the Depression era, the two railroads were struggling, and when the big crash happened, the remaining shares of the Poisippi Railway were sold to the Central Waters Railroad and Transportation Company, which ended up forming the Mascooten Valley Railroad. So the reason why it's called the Mascooten Valley is that the area in central Wisconsin, where the genesis of the railroad is, was inhabited by the Mascooten Indians before settler times. So the area that it is was dubbed the Mascooten Valley. So I stole that name to be the moniker for the railroad. So as time went on and the railroad began to become profitable in 1942, the Mascooten Valley purchased the Armstrong Creek Railway, completing its main line from Waupun, Wisconsin, all the way to Spread Eagle, Wisconsin. So essentially creating that north-south connection in central Wisconsin. And then finally, and unfortunately, in 1956, the Mascooten Valley did cease all of its passenger operations and now just does semi-annual excursion trains. So that's pretty much the history and the backstory of the railroad. And it basically started out as a passenger and Granger Railroad to start. But as we move forward in time to the 1987 era, the Mascooten Valley takes on a life of its own and continues to expand in Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. It's a Class 2 regional railroad in Wisconsin that essentially connects the Chicago Northwestern, the Wisconsin Southern, and then has interchanges with another freelance railroad, the Wisconsin and Midwestern. And it's separated into two divisions. There's a northern and southern division. The northern division is iron ore, pulpwood, paper, chemicals, some grain, some fertilizer and lumber, aggregate and stone. And then the southern division is basically chemicals and agricultural products. And then the power, it kind of ties into what Matt was talking about. It's all secondhand. So it's a regional short line, doesn't have a big budget. So it's looking for stuff off the secondhand market. So you can see some of the influences that kind of drive the Mascooten Valley here. The Alco C628s. We had Mike Confalone on. He talked about them. I just like, the big beasts, so to speak, the gritty Alcos that were just loud and dirty. The switch engines from the Tomahawk Railway. The paper mill down in the lower left there, that's the Niagara Mill. That's going to be influencing some the part of the layout. And then the iron mine there that you see up in the far right, that's the Groveland mine, which was in Randville, Michigan. So those are the main focal points for my railroad. So I have a map. It's not.
Yay, a map.
We got maps. So you can see here, this is what the railroad looks like today, or in 1987. And the division points or the connection points are with the Chicago Northwestern and Chippewa Falls and Spread Eagle. And then in Waupun, in the southern piece there, we make our connection to the Wisconsin Southern in 1987. But the big interchange point for me and my railroad is Auroraville with Mike's Wisconsin and Midwestern Railroad. So I made a point to have a connection to his railroad, so that way we could interchange various types of products like grain, limestone, chemicals, those types of things. How am I doing, Mike?
You're doing great. Keep up the good work.
All right.
You're doing
great. We found
our
map maker too.
Oh my God. Yeah, definitely. Andy's very good at making maps.
Okay. So I think we did do like a high level piece right now of it's like the track plan at one point. and we are going to be changing it a little bit. So I did have the track plan as, so this is my basement, and almost, or actually all of the bench work is now in place for the railroad. And this was as of almost a year ago. We had an ore yard and an ore dock, and then an iron ore pellet plant, and then we just had, those were the two major industries or switching opportunities on the layout. And I wanted to, I guess, spice things up a bit, and having I've been watching a lot of William Sampson Sue the Milwaukee Road on YouTube, and Boomer dioramas, and then Mike and I have been talking about making changes on a daily basis to the railroad. And so I decided that we needed to make it a little more interesting from a switching perspective. And so we went ahead and we got rid of the iron mine altogether, and we're going to be moving the ore yard or the ore dock out to where the iron ore pellet plant is. We'll be adding a paper mill, and then we're going to be changing the theory of the operation for the whole railroad. So what is the theory, you ask?
So real quick, Andy, can you go back to your map?
Yeah.
Where are you sitting on your map?
Pine River Junction.
Okay, so that's like, what's over your left shoulder then.
Yep, like literally where the E is in Pine River is where he's standing.
Okay. This is me right here.
Okay.
Yep. So that's where I'm at. That's the podcast studio right here. So the change in direction. So there's a couple of different things that I from the prototype that I wanted to model. So I Proctor Yard with the CN was one of the influences that I had. Also Eagle Mills with the LS&I, and they're kind of like feeder yards into the industry at the terminal or the port, is kind of how I wanted to change the railroad. So instead of having giant scenes of long trains going back and forth, now I have essentially ore trains are now dock shoves, and we'll have a paper mill train come out, and then we'll have a grain elevator train come out, and the river is going to be the theme that ties the whole layout together. So there will be a waterfront by the fascia in front of you almost on every scene. So it's going to look like basically you'll be standing in the river, and then operating the various industries that you would see in like a port terminal in let's say like Duluth. So yeah, and so like I did like what we're doing now. So we're going to change that, and we're going to pull it all from the port is actually going to be in Menominee and Marinette. So if we go back here to the map, this is where the ore dock's going to be, and we're also going to have the grain elevators and all that, and the ships. They'll either try to sneak through the canal here at Sturgeon Bay to head down to Chicago, or they'll go around Washington Island here and what do they call that? Death's Door.
Death's Door. Yep.
Yeah, Death's Door. There's been a few shipwrecks over here.
A few.
Yeah. And to go to the rest, to go up to Sault Ste. Marie, or down into the other Huron and the other lakes. So that's the premise of the railroad pretty much. And so that's what we're doing right now to change it. So with the change in strategy and moving to the shoves and those types of things, I'm going to need different power. So things like SD38s are going to be quite handy for the dock job, pushing or shoving long drags of ore cars, iron ore cars up to the dock. And it's going to be a rotary dumper dock, much like the one that they had at Escanaba back in the day. So I do have some time here for arts and crafts, just to kind of go through what just some basic track plan is as we go around the the layout here. We will have a team track for just random chemicals and maintenance of waste spur and stuff like that. But this won't be very operationally exciting. And it'll also have the junction that'll go to this second story staging yard. But here's the one of the major areas. This is this is the paper mill that's going to be modeled roughly off of the Niagara mill in Niagara, Wisconsin.
Without the incredible grade, right?
Yeah, there will not be a 4% grade on this one. But the layout will be very similar. So you'll have the major warehouse there with the kind of the switchback. You'll have your chemical loadout areas, logs, and then chips. And then again, you can kind of see where the aisleway is there. This is where the river is going to be here. So again, kind of tying that whole theme together of the whole port terminal feel.
Yeah, and that's no joke. I actually ran trains on that paper mill grade, and you would start about 40 feet above the roof line of the roof you were going to be spotting cars at. And in 30 car lengths, you were at the other end. Like 30 car. And today you can actually drive to the location and see this grade. And on one side you had, it was what? Granite? Is that granite?
It's granite.
Yeah,
rock,
it's a granite blasted granite cliff that part of the mill is built on, and then it goes down into this just typical ground level railroady type area, and it was not fun. So I wanted him to do it, and he said no, but
yeah, I couldn't do it.
No, he just wanted this. He didn't want to do it.
Didn't want all that faffing about.
No fun.
And then the river district. This is just a couple sets of grain elevators for switching. Again, the river in the foreground, and then this is actually going to take a different shape. Mike came over, stood in my room, and said, "This is a trash design."
Not say
yes,
that.
You did. You said this is the worst. This is the worst design ever. I can't believe you showed this to me.
Those were...
And now I'm not your friend.
Oh, okay. Is that the way it works?
But long story short, this is essentially, we'll have a major elevator here to switch out all sorts of covered hoppers, hopefully new HomeShops covered hoppers. And then we'll hopefully have a second one here as well. And then the layout's going to continue around to the ore dumper, which is the next one here, which is again based off of that ore dumper facility in Escanaba. And the trains will be shoved up into the dumper. They'll go down, and then there'll be a giant boat slip in the foreground where there will be an ore boat of some sort. I saw someone in the chat said, will it be the Edmund Fitzgerald? No, it will not. It would probably be thinking either the Arthur M. Anderson or
the John G. Munson, maybe,
or the Wilfred Sykes.
Oh, the Wilfred Sykes.
Haven't decided.
You never told
yet.
me that. The Wilfred Sykes would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
that'd be a really cool one.
Yep. So I haven't decided which boat I'm going to put in there yet, but basically that's going to be the terminal part of the railroad. And then, of course, the part that you see behind me, Pine River Junction, that's still going to be part of the layout.
Did you
and
did you take that picture?
What's
did
that?
Did you take that photo?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
You drove up there in the middle of winter to take that picture. You are a better man than me, man.
So that's the quick and dirty for the Mascooten Valley. I know we were kind of running long on time here, so I wanted to keep it as short as possible. So, yeah.
I like the concept that you've got. I think it's a great idea.
Going more to a
I'm not
terminal.
just saying that because I'm not saying that because we're former friends, apparently.
Former friends.
Yeah. All I asked you was why do you want to reach over the top of a grain elevator to get to the other cars on the other side? That's all I asked.
That's a valid question.
And so I said, why don't you move this to this way or move it up? I said, now you can put longer cars and stub end them and do this and this and this and use this as negative space, and you don't have to worry about reaching over anything. That's why we're friends, Mike, was the exact quote.
That was what. That's right. I said that's why we're friends.
That's why we're friends.
That's why
we're friends. It wasn't not we're former friends. But honestly, it's a really cool concept for a railroad that it has so many different. The state of Wisconsin's got so many different pockets of industry in such close proximity to each other that it's really easy to do layout design like this. You know what I mean? And it's stuff that you don't typically have in other parts of the country, with the iron ore especially. That there's only certain veins of that in the United States. Here, Thomas Gazier up in hauling red dirt up in Minnesota, and there's areas up there, pockets in upper Wisconsin or northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan. And in reality, that's about the most you ever hear about, and it's cool that it's integrated into a whole different concept and stuff. I like it.
So there's a couple of questions here. Are you keeping negative space, or did you fill them in? So I am keeping negative space. So I have a scene leading up to the paper mill area and that junction area. That's all going to be negative space. I have a bridge that I didn't show that was built by Dennis Eggert that I'll be putting in as one of the main scenes on the layout. That'll be crossing the Menominee River. And then there will be negative space, probably at least 10 to 12 feet between scenes. So yes, I am still maintaining that. Mr. Bushel asks, what's my bench work height? It varies because I have a house that was built in 1880 and it's a field stone basement. So the room that we're in right now, the bench work is at 56 inches. You go into the room over there, it's kind of like an Oompa Loompa basement. So there's like a riser of like 5 inches. So it's at like 52. So it's a little different. What happened to doing one town like you had mentioned, not going to work? This actually is all going to be one town. So the yard that's going to be feeding the rest of it, it's all going to be Marinette, Menominee, Wisconsin. So yes, that is going to happen. And then how much of the bench work will have to be rebuilt? None. So I'm just changing the track arrangement. That's it.
That was a big part of our conversations too. Remember that idea is the fact that you had gotten to a certain point with the bench work, and the first words out of your mouth is, before you even say a word, I don't want to change the bench work.
We're not changing the bench work.
Changing the bench work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go from there. And that's it,
Yep. So as promised, Chris, you have surprises?
We do have just a couple of surprises. And I just want to say, we've all gotten familiar with the 20 car lengths of main line behind you there. We see that a whole lot. And, every time I'm like, man, that's great. I'd like to learn more about this railroad and see what's around that corner. And the sneak peek we got here, I really enjoyed. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So of course, with the ST38s, we do have other stuff in the works here. If you wanna share, we can talk about a few things. This is an Atlas FMC boxcar that we had designed a while ago. And Andy, just for being a good sport, the next picture here is one that you haven't seen, but it came from Atlas today or this week.
Oh, look at that.
So
that's awesome.
So that's coming. I saw these and I thought I'm gonna let him see it live on the show first. Because
wow, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
so sweet.
Definitely flying the Mascooten Valley brand.
Wow, I love it.
Really cool job with that logo. And I don't know if you mentioned it today, but that's Rock Island inspired. And
yes,
I didn't really pick up on that until we started talking about artwork, and now I see it a lot.
Yeah.
So this is a sample. Still not sure how far out it is. I think the bulkhead flats, we were at this stage about 8 months before we got them, so it may still be a while before we get these cars. But they sent that this week, so I wanted to share that with you. Just a cool looking car, I think.
That is really, really cool.
And the other project we've got in the works is
I was doing good until I saw this for a unit train. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So we've got several roads in this order. We'll only tease this one. Some folks here might could guess what another one is, but we'll just leave that for speculation. Andy opted for the high side version of this car, and that only comes in 4-packs, which I suppose is fine. But we do have Mascooten Valley ore cars in the works with Fox Valley / Scale Trains. I think this is a Fox Valley tooling, right?
Would that be MTH tooling probably?
Or maybe it's MTH tooling. Yeah, that's what it is. So, anyways, very, very cool looking cars. And while I've got you here, we were talking about the auto floods. I thought I'd share. Here's a few pictures. Just going to share real quick. This is what they look like in action, and this is taken from the control house at Nebraska City, Nebraska. That's a OMAX train. And each one of these buttons is for a different shoe. So on this bridge, there's about 20 different spots where he can hit the button and it'll hit the shoe on this car and that one will dump. And at the same time, he'll do one 5 cars behind. And then he'll do one 3 cars here so that all the coal isn't dumping at the same spot on the bridge. And then when you're done, there's the last car being dumped. These are the DP locomotives pushing the train. That's kind of what it looks like in action, but it's a sight to behold when they just dump right through the tracks, and you can see the doors are still open on this car, but it is empty, and these ones here have not been dumped yet. So that's what that looks like.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they're not going slow. They're still doing like 5 miles an hour through there, aren't they?
They're dumping at about 5 miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So it's not they're not using pace setter.
Wow, that's crazy. Because usually, well, I suppose you're only unloading, right? Because when you load, aren't they like walking speed, like 1 or 2 or something?
Yeah, like it's a lot. It's much slower to load. Correct. And I mean, the whole car opens up at the same time, and you're dumping the entire length of the car. Versus when you're loading, from front end to rear end. So that process takes a little bit longer, and it needs to go slower. And what I like about this picture, because I thought you were going to allude to it on the Yankeetown Dock car when it was, the bottom dump car, but he had the stripe alignment for the rotary end. These cars can be in both service, and if you notice, these 2 cars here have got the rotary ends together, which is that would not be that way if this were in rotary dump service. But since it's in bottom dump service, it doesn't really matter how the stripe alignment is. So
right.
Since we were talking, I just thought I'd share a little bit about that. And
that brings up an interesting point. That's why those auto flood cars only ferry back and forth to that power plant on the YDC.
Yeah.
Because the rotary facility can't handle that size capacity of a car. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, and back when we had a power plant in Green Bay, we used to have just 3-bay bottom dumps. They didn't have the auto floods like that, but they were 3-bays. And alluding to what you were talking about, the rotary ends being together, we actually had a memo one day come from the Union Pacific and saying the train set we had in Green Bay had to be rearranged in order to provide it, because its next location was going to a rotary dump facility. So all the stuff we had to literally switch out the cars and get it so that it was set up for rotary dumping, which was a real pain because it involved turning cars and all sorts of different things. So, I mean, it ended up not being fun. It only happened the one time. And after that, because our facility was not a dump facility like a rotary facility, it was a bottom dump facility. But
that train set didn't have a double rotary car in it then?
It didn't have a double rotary car, and it only had the single on it. Yep. And of course, it was one of those things where it'd been in that service for so long, and bad orders getting kicked out and rearranged and blah 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 blah. It was a mess, and we had to put it back together the way it was supposed to be. So
Jeez, how long did that take?
A couple hours. It wasn't too bad, So, but yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's an aspect you don't really think about, the unloading and loading process, when all of our experience is just trackside watching them go by for the most part. So it's a cool experience.
Oh yeah.
Well, Andy, thank you very much.
I'm sweaty. That was a lot.
Yeah, this was a long one.
You're sweaty.
No, I'm just joking. No, Chris, this is a fantastic show, and Chris and Doug, thank you again for. I mean, this was short turn, right? Like, it was like a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, you want to come on? We got to talk about. You got a precision scale or precision railroad load of stuff.
Yep.
Coming in, right? And
I appreciate the opportunity to do that. So thank you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there's a whole host of good product coming from HomeShops, so we need to talk about it. And I got to learn about a cool new railroad this evening, the YDC, and the modern YDC at that. So Matt, thank you for taking the time to share your railroad with us. I think that I thought it was really cool. I love the concept, and
thanks.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. That's for sure. I'm interested to see what you do in the future here. That's for sure. And so now is the time of the show when we asked Mike, what did you think of it?
Well, right up until the end, it was great. That last segment was kind of whatever. But
yeah, it wasn't my best work.
It wasn't whatever. I mean, whatever, man.
Yeah.
No, I tell you what. Chris and Doug, as always, how we feel about you guys. I mean, it's the stuff that you're doing is just phenomenal. The work that you guys, and not just that, but we tend to forget that there are layout owners involved in these decisions as well. Yeah. And those layout owners deserve a round of applause also for coming up with such amazing concepts that provide for us to be able to, or for Chris and Doug to be able to create these cars. And so, hats off to all the layout owners that were featured tonight, and in past shows. But I mean, it's, and I can't wait to see what's coming up from HomeShops in the future. Yeah. Undoubtedly it's going to be phenomenal. I mean, how can it not be? But Matt, we talked a lot in Colorado, and I know you only showed a snippet to a degree of what your clinic was, but the overall concept of what you're doing is awesome. It is so awesome. And having seen it firsthand, it's cool. It's really, really cool, dude. I tell you what, it may be one of my new favorite railroads out there now.
Yeah.
It might just be. It might just be. I'm not kidding. I'm telling you. As soon as I see that can-do on the side of a locomotive, that's gonna. I mean,
put it over the edge.
That's right over the edge.
Would the C40s be can't do?
What's that?
What?
Would the C40s be cannot do?
Hey.
No, that's just the ones that Mike runs.
Just the ones he's got in his hand. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
No, I tell you what, it's awesome as always, and and just a great presentation. And again, Andy, having intimate knowledge of what you're doing with your railroad, I couldn't be happier for you with the announcements tonight. And I tell you what, the concept, I know it's not completely finalized yet, but it's really going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun railroad to be able to come down to and see.
Yeah, well,
it'll end up being a destination railroad, that's for sure. It'll end up being that.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yep.
We're getting there. That's for sure. I just want to thank Chris and Doug for what they're doing, and it's humbling to have your railroad, be part of something like this. That's for sure. And I can't thank you guys enough for that. It's so cool. So,
you're welcome.
Yeah, Doug, anything else before we tie down for tonight?
No, as usual, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to talk about to feature one of the dealers in our dealer network. And as we said earlier, we appreciate all the members of our dealer network, and we wanted to give a little bit of a view behind the scenes, so our listeners or viewers here could learn a little bit more. Matt, nice job there on the Yankeetown Dock. And I was thinking about, as you were talking about that, it made me think about sort of the flip side of that. Was back in the day with Detroit, Edison had their own power and their own cars for coal that came from southwestern PA, West Virginia, and went to the facilities in Detroit. So I thought about that, and I said, yeah, that's pretty cool. Andy, thanks a lot for giving us a look at the Mascooten Valley. And as I've said to you guys before, we really appreciate the ability to share information here and the positive nature of your broadcast, all the time. And Matt, didn't mean to step on you there.
No, you're good. I was just going to mention, the Detroit Edison. I actually had a guy ask about the YDC concept out there in Greeley, and it was an exact correlation to
Oneida Western.
Oneida Western. That's right. Thank you, Chris. The Shamrock Green, Oneida Western, and that sort of thing. So yeah, the parallel is just happened to be there.
Oh, it's cool. Then Chris, we'll save the final word for you this evening. Anything else you want to add before we tie down for the night?
No, just thank you. Thanks to you guys for the platform. Thanks for Doug for all the help along the way, and Matt for willing to come forward and talk about the project here. And thank you to everybody in the audience. Matt, welcome to the HomeShops Home Road Owner Club, and Andy as well. And I see a lot of home road owners in the comments there. Maybe 6 or 7. So it's a growing community that as well. We look forward to being able to put more stuff out. And again, of course, one last plug. Thank you for everybody who buys. That's what keeps us going. And we've got a lot of stuff to move right now. So I appreciate everyone's support out there. It's what keeps us going.
Yeah, for sure. All right, little admin stuff here, little housekeeping before we officially shut down for this evening. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. It's a great way to support the Second Section podcast, and it's a great way to find out when HomeShops comes back on and talks about all of the cool offerings that they have for the home roads that we all love here. So good way to stay connected to us. Or if you want to keep the fun rolling, we do have a Facebook group, Second Section Podcast. Right now we're doing a fun little thing in tribute to the Edmund Fitzgerald. This week it's been kind of getting some good reception, where we're showcasing the red dirt haulers, the iron ore roads that feed the big boats that go through the Great Lakes. That's been a lot of fun, a lot of good content being shared there. So next show, Andy Gerber wants to know, think we're going to get back on our 2-week cadence, and I think we're going to move back to Thursday nights. So football's done here for me, and looks like things are going to get back on track here. So we are going to do a show right before Thanksgiving. And just after coming back from Train Fest, Mike and I have a laundry list of guests that we need to get on the show.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be, we got
Mike does laundry?
I do. I got to do laundry. Yeah.
Mike's got laundry.
Yeah. I've got.
You got, what you got a pile that you got to go through?
Oh, there's a pile somewhere. That's for sure. Yeah.
All right. That's good. So again, we just want to thank the section crew tonight that was out there as well. We were at one point, I think we had almost 155 people in the chat with us. A lot of good questions, a lot of good comments, a lot of fun being had out there. If it wasn't for you guys, this wouldn't be happening. So thank you for tuning in with us and sticking through to the long haul this evening. And I just, again, if you haven't seen the Mike Confalone episode, go check it out. It's really a fun episode that was last week on our YouTube channel. So I guess I don't have much else here other than that. We'll see everyone in 2 weeks. And Mike, what do we always say when we knock over the open jar of micro scale on our workbench and spill it everywhere?
Just keep modeling.
Good night, everybody.
Night.